Hey everyone, it's Brandon T. Snider. I am the author of over 100 books for young readers. I've written for DC Comics, for Marvel, for Cartoon Network. I've written Mad Libs and doodle books and guide books and short stories and picture books. I've written all kinds of stuff. But today I'm coming here to talk to you about my newest book, Rube Goldberg and his amazing machines. I am here in my office at home in New York City, surrounded by all of my action figures and toys. My computer's behind me, and I got some of my books. I have books a lot of places. I'm wearing my Halloween shirt to be a little bit spooky. I thought it was the occasion. So listen, I'm really excited about this book, and I want to give you a super sneak peek of it because the book does not come out till November, so I don't even have a copy of it. I just have papers. That's why when I show you this is the cover of the book. It's just on a piece of paper. But that will not stop me from doing a little reading for everyone out there. And when it's all over, I might share a few secrets and details. Now listen, for those of you that don't know, Rube Goldberg is a real person, was a real person. He was a famous cartoonist that was famous for drawing very complicated machines that were very funny, that performed a very simple task. You may have heard of the Rube Goldberg Machine Competition, which is an international event, ages 8 to 18, where teams compete building machines, and if they win prizes. Also, if you've ever been on YouTube and you look up Rube Goldberg machines, you can see people making all kinds of cool machines. So that's a little bit who Rube was. But the Rube in our book is a 6th grader. He is super nervous about starting middle school. Thankfully, he is surrounded by friends who can help him through that. One of whom is his best friend, Boob. Now, you may be thinking that a boy named Boob is weird. I know I did. But Boob is actually a character from way back in the very old days, one of the characters that Rube Goldberg drew in his old cartoons. And so we thought we would use him here. Just so you know, Boob back in the day meant a foolish or silly person. So nothing crazy. So Boob here is Rube's best friend, and together they are kind of like a comedic duo. Which you'll see right now as I am about to read to you an excerpt from Rube Goldberg and his amazing machines. Rube! The boy's desperate shout cut through the morning calm, sending all the local dogs into a frenzy. He'd been standing outside 7483 Berkeley Street at his best friend's house for roughly 40 seconds. But for an anxious kid like him, that was half a minute too long. It was the first day of school, and if they didn't get their rears in gear, they were going to be late. Rube, come on! The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and the morning dew had dried. Once the chill lifted, the heat crept in. A pit had grown in Rube Goldberg's stomach that threatened to swallow him whole. Nervous was an understatement. His muscles were tense. There were big changes waiting for him just around the corner, but he had no idea what they were. He barely got any sleep, tossing and turning for most of the night, obsessed about things that were outside his control. From 4 a.m. to 4:30 a.m., he lay in bed worrying about asteroids hitting the planet. From 4:30 a.m. to 5 a.m., he stared at the ceiling, irritated by a tiny imperfection no one else noticed but him. It was torturous. But he didn't know what else to do. Ruby! Then he put his insomnia to work. It's what he'd been doing all summer anyway. While most kids were swimming in kiddie pools and playing wiffle ball in their backyards and otherwise having fun in the sun, Rube was in his bedroom, making stuff. He hadn't planned on spending 3 straight months indoors. That's just how it happened. Back in May, he had high hopes for the summer. The plan was to read up on octopi, learn sign language, plant a banana tree, teach himself how to code, research solar panels, and maybe even install some on his roof. But then something changed. The first week of break, he slept till noon every day. Calls and texts went ignored. Going outside became scary for some strange reason. He couldn't explain it. It felt safer to stay inside where he could control everything. The broken air conditioner made the whole house hot and stuffy. But Rube didn't care. He had his grandpa's old handkerchief around in case it got too sweaty. Rubicon! In mid-June, Rube snuck into the attic and rummaged through old boxes. His dad had told him not to go up there because there were too many wonky nails sticking out of the floor, as well as questionable spiders. But he did it anyway. When his dad said not to do something, all Rube could think about was doing it. Besides, spiders didn't scare him. In the middle of the night, he put on a pair of work boots. Wonky nails are no joke after all, and went looking for stuff. Trinkets, treasures, he had no idea. He just wanted to build something cool and needed materials to make that happen. There were boxes of ornaments, photographs, strings of lights and glassware, typical attic junk. He found his mom's old wedding dress, which had been miraculously preserved among the dust and cobwebs. One weird crate was filled with tools, fishing rods, cymbals, pulleys, doorknobs, wheels, jars, and baby shoes. And a metal helmet with wires sticking out of it that was part of a Halloween costume that his dad had made, among other things. Very quietly, Rube brought down boxes, one after the other, tiptoeing down the hallway so no one would hear him. He poured their contents onto the floor of his room, mixed them together with his own collection of junk, and created a monster pile of stuff. At first, he wasn't sure what to do with any of it, but then his mind's wheels started turning. Rhubarb! Rubalicious! While downing an ice-cold glass of lemonade one steamy July afternoon, Rube remembered something. His grandma had given him a fancy Italian notebook she bought while on vacation with her old lady dance team, the Movers and the Shakers. He stuffed it into a drawer and forgotten about it, but when ideas started percolating inside his head, Rube drew them. Sometimes he'd doodle comic strips. Other times he'd design simple machines, gadgets, and dream inventions. Over time, the notebook's fake leather binding frayed around the edges. It smelled like grape soda, but that was only because Rube had spilled grape soda all over it, then let it sit in a hot car for a week. His mom once told him to write down his thoughts if he ever felt overwhelmed or frustrated. Get them out of that noggin and onto the page, she said. That way they won't make you sick. He wished he would have listened. Reuben Garrett Lucius Goldberg. The kid, standing on Rube's lawn, screaming like a maniac, was his best friend, Boob McNutt. Rube and Boob were more than just friends. Brothers, soulmates, they didn't put a label on it. Rube had Boob's back, Boob had Rube's back, that's all that mattered. Sure, they argued on occasion, but they always made up over a bowl of mochi. That is, unless Rube had a stash of international snacks his dad bought during his travels. Over the years, they started no fewer than 5 clubs where they were the only members. Toy Club was fun until Boob accidentally ate a Lego and had to go to the hospital. Don't ask how they got the Lego out. Sports Club fell apart quickly once they realized neither of them cared about sports. Technically, Nature Club was still around, but it only really mattered whenever they found a weird insect or a piece of wood. As for the other 2 clubs, they don't even remember. Rube and Boob moved so fast and were always into something new. Until they weren't. That's just how they rolled. Oh, and Boob knows you think his name is weird. He just doesn't care. Rube! Boob screamed. He was at his wit's end. Get your butt down here right now! Rube poked his face out the window of his second-floor bedroom. What? He asked calmly. Stop messing around. We have to go. Can't. I'm working on a thing. We're going to be late. Not if we run. Don't joke like that. Dr. Lipschitz said my kneecaps are the size of pebbles. If I run, my legs will fall apart like twigs. No, they won't. You're making that up. They might. You don't know. The human body is a very complicated machine. Plus, I'm already sweating so much. If we run, we'll be drenched by the time we get there. Drenched! On the first day of middle school. It's not a good look. We're going to have to start using deodorant soon, aren't we? Ugh. You have no idea what I've had to deal with today. First, I woke up super late. Then I got grape jelly all over my favorite shirt. Then my bike was stolen. Not my problem. Wait, your bike was stolen? Rube, why are you being like this? Let's go. I'm working on something very cool. I'm in the zone. My juices are flowing. I can't abandon ship now, not even for school. Is this that fold-up toilet you told me about? No one will buy that thing, trust me. My dad spends at least 2 hours on the toilet every single day, and even he said it was a bad idea. Think bigger. Cupcake cannon? Nah. Butter slide? Nope. But I like where you're going with this. Ugh, I give up. Can you please just put on some pants and get down here? How'd you know I wasn't wearing pants? You can't see my lower half. Duh. I've known you since you were 5 years old. Good call. Nice to see you dressed up for a special occasion. Ha, Boob said with a flat stare. His style was all about comfort. A simple shirt coupled with a pair of pajama bottoms. It was his uniform, no matter the season. But Boob loved a bold print, and today's selection was extra special. These are my lucky night pants. It's daytime, and you say that about every pair you own. How'd your mom even let you out of the house in those monstrosities? She was sleeping when I left. Come on, I have to pee soon, and I prefer to do it in the bathroom. Rube looked down at his faithful sidekick, Bertha, who was doing her two favorite things, licking her lips and panting. She was a dog, after all. The lady of the house says hello. Hey, Bertha! Now quit stalling! Queen Bertha was a rescue with no backstory. She was abandoned in a parking lot and adopted by Rube's family a week later. They called her their hairy little hodgepodge, since her breed was a total mystery. Bertha adored Rube and loved being by his side. She snuggled him through the good times, bad times, weird times, and crazy times. Bertha also loved to venture out of the house when no one was looking. Everyone in town knew her, and not just because she did her business anywhere she wanted. Her favorite place to poop was in front of the courthouse. Her personality was legendary. Bertha was smaller than most dogs, with a very keen sense of people. If she didn't like you, you might actually be a bad guy. Then again, Bertha also chased her tail, growled at her butt, and ate gravel. Her senses weren't 100% all of the time. I just need 1 more minute, Rube said, shutting the window. His creation was almost complete. All it needed were a few final touches. He'd began sketching the thing around 6 a.m., finishing around 6:30 a.m. By 7 a.m., he'd corralled all the necessary materials, and at 7:30 a.m., he was ready to go. But then he stopped himself. His brain told him the idea wouldn't work. Pack it in, Goldberg. You'll just fail anyway. Do you really think this will work? You're 12 years old. You don't know squat about squat. Everyone will laugh at you. Your dad will probably kick you out of the house. Life as you know will come crashing down. You sure you want to risk it? Eventually, Rube realized his brain was just being a jerk. He shook out of his stupor and got his head in the game. It was time to test his new creation, the Sprucer Upper. It was a machine that would revolutionize room cleaning and change the world. Maybe. With his hand shaking just a little bit, Rube set the machine in motion. Things went well for a couple seconds until Bertha intervened. She jumped onto the Sprucer Upper and spun around like an out-of-control top. Parts flew in every direction as she whipped her backside all over the place. When the commotion ended, the machine was in shambles, reduced to the pile of junk from which it sprang. Rube sat on the floor of his room, defeated. Bertha sensed her master's disappointment and happily licked his face to make it all better. Thanks, girl. And that has been an excerpt from Rube Goldberg and His Amazing Machines, written by me, Brandon T. Snider, and illustrated by Ed Steckley. How do you like those Ed Steckley illustrations, huh? Pretty great. Let's look at this. I mean, I want a poster of that, I think. I'm going to have to ask him for a poster of that. So listen, what happens next? You probably have questions. You're going to have to pick up the book on November 16th when it comes out. That's when you'll also meet Rube's other best friend, Pearl, who is destined for greatness. As well, you will also meet the mysterious Professor Butts. And the cool thing about this is the first book in a series. So there's more coming, and there's a bigger mystery at play. So there's lots more Rube Goldberg on the horizon. So listen, I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, I am Brandon T. Snider, and you can find me on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as Brandon T. Snider. You can check out my website, cootiekid.com. That's COOTIEKID.com. And I hope you like this sneak peek of Rube Goldberg and His Amazing Machines. In the spirit of Rube, I encourage you to participate in the S.T.E.A.M Race to Space Reading Challenge, which frankly, all the cool kids are doing. So thank you so much for spending time with me, and goodbye for now.